Good to go? We're ready to roll? Good to go? What's up, guys? How you doing? My name is Jared. I do YouTube stuff.
My name is Jason. I do guitar stuff.
He's an insane guitar player.
Yeah. I practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to. Yeah. So this is just kind of like a chill hangout, like question and answer kind of thing, right? You're gonna do a little shreddy with the blues.
Maybe. Yeah. Try.
Do a little wows, do a little rings. So I guess to open it up, let's talk about Ernie Ball. Let's talk about the guitars in general. Jason, what are your like favorite features about the Majesty guitars?
It's a hard question. Or it's not a hard question to answer. It's everything. But to get into more detail about it, the let me take a strap off. It'll be easier. So, well, one of my favorite things about them is how light they are. Honestly, like compared to any other model or just like this thing, I'm pretty sure it's only like 7 or 8 pounds or something like that. It's just insanely light. So for a live show, it's just way less fatiguing as say like playing like a heavy Les Paul or something like that. Like those sound great as well, but if you're playing like longer sets or something like that, like the weight of this guitar is usually one of the first things that I noticed. Like when I first got mine in the box, I didn't even think there was a guitar in there. Yeah. You know what I mean? I literally got the box and was just like, is there even anything in here? Then you open it up and it's just this beautiful machine. The fret access is absolutely insane. You can see it literally.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, it just stops at the 24th fret. There's
super good.
Just nothing there, right? So it doesn't get in the way, like literally at all. The new pickups in this, when I got this one in particular, plugged it in compared to my other Majesties, I was pretty much floored like right away from the tone. That even though it's like a very subtle difference, just from the difference from the Illuminators and the DiMarzio Illuminators to the Sonic Ecstasies, which is the newest pickups that John came out with, I could tell just a massive difference like right away. Right when I did that immediately is just like the heaviest, like crushing tone. Like even though it's just subtly different from the other Majesty lines, is like there's a reason like the changes get made and the guitar evolves further from what it was before.
I think the tone options are insane on these guitars.
Like the coil tap,
yeah.
And the combo.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Because I had always heard about Music Man, all that stuff, and I was like, well, I'll check them out, whatever. And they might be a little.
Just gonna smash it.
I'm gonna be honest. Like for me, it was like, well, maybe they're a little overhyped. I don't know. Like it's a guitar, right? But then I got it, and just like all the tone options you can accomplish with this thing. Some of them have. I don't know if they all have the piezos in them. Like
yeah, the Music Man ones do.
Yeah, sure, yeah. They're just incredible. Like everything that we're a little different because I do like YouTube videos, so my stuff is like very, just like different for everything. So one guitar for me is like, that's my guitar. I can do whatever type of sound I want. If I want to go really heavy, I can do that. If I want to do some like twangy stuff, I can do that as well.
Coil tap.
Exactly, yeah. For sure. What tuning do you play in?
This one is in drop G, so D standard with the low string drop down to a G. So it'd be G, D, G, C, F, A, D from low to high.
And what string gauges do you use for that?
I'm using 11 to 58 currently. Everyone always asks me how I'm able to get it to stay in tune, but I mean, I guess maybe the secret is Ernie Ball strings and an Ernie Ball guitar, and I never really think about it too hard. It just seems to behave always, even with the lighter gauges. I firmly think too that the lighter gauges sound better because it has this more like brightness and like pop to it.
I found that too. It's like the heavier you go, the more like.
Yeah, it's like dull.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, which most people don't realize. But like on mine, it's I think I'm just rocking like the standard, like 9 to 42, or maybe it's like the 46 or something. Mm-hmm. But even going down to like
that's pretty much what this is too.
Right, yeah. Going down to like drop B or drop A, they hold very well. They're very well made guitars.
Yeah, even though it's the lighter gauge, like it doesn't seem to make a difference. Like it just stays in tune. Like when I plugged it in earlier after not touching it, like from the show last night, it was still in tune. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was a good show. You guys are on tour.
Yes.
And so how do guitars hold up like on the road for a long time like that? Are they like
very well?
Yeah.
Insanely well, like impressively well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you barely have to tweak them at all. Like, even going through all of those crazy extremities. Like I'm about to go in like Canada and stuff in February. So that's gonna be pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, and I highly doubt that much maintenance at all is going to be needed when it comes to this thing staying together.
Yeah.
It just does it on its own.
For sure. Is there anybody out here who has a question? We could do a couple questions, maybe for Jason or I about the guitars or us in general. Anything you guys want to know? Sick.
No, I guess not.
Oh yeah, what's up? This guy over here.
No, I pick really hard. I try to pick like as hard as possible. Well, obviously, you know, like within reason, depending on the part and all that too. But when it comes to like the chuggier metal stuff or like riffing or any of that, like I try to put like pretty good emphasis on it, where because it just sounds better when the part calls for it. But if it's gonna be, you know, like a clean part or something like that, like I'm obviously not gonna just like just hit it as hard as I possibly can, because then there's no dynamic. Like it's all subjective. It depends on what you want to do.
I would agree with that. I'd say as a general, I pick pretty hard too. Like
Yeah.
you got to get that nice grind, you know.
Yeah,
It really helps.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds heavy.
Anyone else? Any questions? Yes. What's up? What's that new song called?
Oh yeah.
It's well, like
we found it didn't have a name when we started.
it's like rigor mortis or no tendinitis.
Tendinitis.
That's right.
That's what we're gonna call it.
That's a perfect name for it if you heard this song.
Luke
It's
and
just
I are gonna call it a
crazy.
new song. I wonder if I can play the main riff right now. That's part of it.
I hate you so much.
Tendinitis. I think that's a pretty solid name.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Anyone else? More questions? Yes.
Well, if I used to be a lot better at practicing, like routine-wise when it comes to that. I don't think I necessarily, honestly, really have one anymore. When it comes to shows and things like that, I'll just play the songs that I need to a bunch of times over and over and over again at varying speeds, because I know I'm going to be playing that night, and it's just good to reiterate the muscle memory.
What was the question? What was the question again?
Yeah, like warm-up techniques.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Practice techniques.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, pretty much for shows, I just always play the hardest parts of the set that I know I need to get ready for. Just varying speeds. Sometimes I'll play along with the songs too. Luke and I will run through a couple songs like on the aux cord in the bus or something like that. Actually, the new song in particular, the pre-prod version, is 3 BPM faster than what we recorded at and play it at. So we'll play it to that one, the faster one, and then when we go on stage, it just feels like much easier because, you know, you overshot a little bit, and then when you go out there live, it's like, oh, this is like way easier than it was 10 minutes ago back on the bus. So that's a good technique too. Yeah, definitely, like you don't want to like hurt yourself, obviously. Like you listen to your arms and your tendons and stuff like that, but sometimes if you overshoot like past your capability and you take it back down, you'll just be able to nail whatever you're working on like right away. After you overshot it, it gets really hard. That's a good technique. That one definitely always works for me too. Also too, sometimes like I have a video of me playing my guest solo for Aviator with Polyphia, and I played it at like half speed right beforehand. I think it took me like literally 30 or 40 takes to get that one perfect take of it all in succession. Even though I still messed up the last note on that video, just like the gate cut out or something, or cut the note out or something like that. But if I hadn't have played it half speed right before that take, I probably would not have nailed that fast part anywhere near as close as I did, because you're able to visualize and actually see the part better too, as opposed to just like teaching yourself mistakes, like trying to just play it as fast as you possibly can. That's a bad thing that always happens. If you continuously to play something like incorrectly, like you don't stop and fix that mistake, that's how you're going to teach it to yourself, is with that mistake in there. So that's definitely a good thing to watch out for whenever you're practicing.
What would be your dream tour? like what would?
It would probably sound cliche.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know, man. That's a hard question. Hi, Pablo.
Well, okay. How about this? What bands have inspired you in your playing and like kind of paved the way for where you're at right now? Like, who do you look up to?
Well, it's changed a lot recently because like my taste, I've noticed my taste changing quite a bit. But initially, when I first started getting into guitar, taking it super seriously, I would go through phases of learning Dream Theater songs in their entirety and Children of Bodom songs in their entirety, like front to back. Just because that's one of the best things you can do too, is like if you think something's sick, go learn it, like the whole thing. Like even if it's out of your realm of capability, you can still see what they're doing, and you can derive ideas from that. What about you?
For sure, Eddie Van Halen. When I first started, my dad was like the classic butt rocker kind of guy, you know. So he got me into like Rush and Van Halen and all
Priest
that stuff.
and Metallica,
yeah,
all
dude,
that.
It was all that cool stuff. So I'm very like '80s influenced, I guess.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Pentatonic scale all the time.
It has its place.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And actually, it took me a while to figure that out. I used to just like hate on the pentatonic scale until like way later, and I figured out no, it's actually very, very, very useful done correctly. Yeah, it just kind of gets a bad rep sometimes for when it like they're like the elitist metal forum dudes who the keyboard warriors or whatnot, that just because it's like one of the first scales that everyone learns. So it took me, once I finally figured out, yeah, pentatonic is tight. It's a dope scale when applied properly. It's got some sick shit.
Sure, yeah. Any more questions from you guys? Anything you'd like to know? Anything that your brains are just dying to understand? Oh yeah, what's up? What's the typical amp setup?
Well, the Axe Specs right there, and then I run PRS Archon head and the PRS cabinets as well.
I do Victory Kraken. That was pretty cool, yeah. For like my YouTube stuff, I'll just go like direct in half the time because it's just easy, and then, you know, whatever.
Do you use my plugin?
I use sometimes. Sometimes I use your plugin. Yeah, sometimes. It's not a bad one. It's good.
I like it.
JST. Fuck yeah. Anyone else? Any questions? I think we have some questions from Twitter as well that we are going to answer. Tony, if you want to look that up. Cool. Hell yeah. We get that phone. We can keep. Do you have it? Oh, okay. Oh, it's not in there. Oh, okay. Cool.
NAMM service, dude.
Do you want to play something or
what?
I don't know. Maybe like.
Does that work?
Yeah, that's fun. I like it.
That was some of the first stuff that I started learning.
What?
Like when I first started picking up guitar, I would just learn like as much Metallica as I could too. Like first learning stuff.
Yeah.
Like I didn't start force myself to learn Dream Theater until a couple years after that.
Sure.
When it was actually like real, like semi-realistically
Right.
possible.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What about you? What was like some of the first stuff you started learning?
All the 80s stuff, Pantera,
Oh, yeah.
Van Halen. I wanted to be Eddie. That was like my dream. Like I listened to Van Halen 1 and like Eruption. I was like, I want to do that, and I still can't. But he like put
play
me on
Eruption.
that. Yeah, exactly.
You could play Eruption.
Maybe I
No.
could at one point. I don't know if I can. It's been a while.
Oh.
It's been a while. How many of you guys out there own a Majesty guitar or an Ernie Ball guitar of any kind? Okay, so a few of you.
Good people.
What's up,
Smart people.
Fla? What's some of your guys' like favorite
What's up,
aspects of the guitar compared to like others? Anyone? The neck?
The neck?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, big time.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
same.
incredibly smooth. Yeah, for
and
sure.
small, tiny.
Yeah.
I love that personally. It's
Right.
like very fast, very fast.
Right. Yeah.
You like automatically can just play things like 50 BPM faster when you get this guitar.
I like it too because like
It's like some weird juju in it.
I'm not a fan of like the Floyd Rose, like the locking bridges.
Me either.
But their floating trams, like that's the one I have. It's like I'll just beat the shit out of it.
Yeah,
and it's just like
and it stays in tune.
stays perfectly in tune. I love that. It's like the best of both worlds. It's fantastic. Who has wait.
Where are you going with this?
Never mind.
Yeah.
Any more questions from anybody out there about the guitars or anything like that? Any Twitter questions? Okay. Do you want to play something or?
I could. Who out there has heard my album? Oh, whoa, sick. I guess name a riff or something like that, and I could attempt to play it. Huh?
Retrograde.
Huh? I'm getting all Breaking Damnation. I haven't played that one in a minute. I'll try and do that main one.
Get some omnis out there.
Retrograde.
All right, let's see what happens. Alright, I'm gonna try breaking to see if I can remember it or not. Oh, no, brain farted. You brain farted super hard right there.
How long have you been playing?
I got, well, I started taking guitar seriously when I was 12. Before that, it went piano, violin, drums, and then guitar just worked the best. So I stuck with that.
How many years did you feel like it took for you to get to the point where you're like pretty much at where you're at right now?
Well, that's another interesting thing that was like kind of luck when it came to me learning technique and things like that. Was I was only playing guitar for like 10 months around there, like 10 months to a year before I started taking guitar lessons. And so that's only like 10 months of bad habits, so like forearm picking, you know, stuff like that. So fortunately, I was able to break those pretty quick because of my teacher. So like I've given lessons to people that are playing for like a couple decades that come and ask me about technique and things like that, and they're not doing it anything remotely close to what I am, and they've just like hit a wall that they can't surpass when it comes to like speed and things like that. And it's because of the way maybe their forearm is moving, their wrist is moving, the way they're holding their pick, all these little subtle things that they've been programmed into their muscle memory for 20 years now. That's just how their body plays guitar. Like it's very, very, very hard to break habits like that.
What would be like 3 tips that you could give to people to break through that wall? Of like, if say they're like they can't get faster, they can't get cleaner, what would you suggest?
Well, usually one of the things that I've personally found technique-wise is I noticed on a couple of my friends when they would come to me for lessons, I've noticed that they weren't really able to surpass a certain point because they were holding the pick with like 3 fingers or something like that. Like, you know, like your middle, your index, and your thumb, as opposed to just your like this with your thumb and your forefinger. But most people I've seen that hold their pick like this, that I've run into lessons to, like they reach a point where they can't really like surpass or get to like to say like ultimate picking level that I have personally achieved. Forearm picking's really bad, always from your wrist. That's one of the biggest main things too, because then you'll get tendonitis and carpal tunnel, tennis elbow, any of that stuff. That's also like you don't want. That's bad. Off the top of my head, it's one of the main things that I try to do for my lead playing, at least, is I try to keep my hand in like this shape. Like I don't anchor or anything like that with the super fast playing. I don't ever anchor, and I feel like my hand is able to hop from string to string better because there's less resistance. Like the anchoring kind of causes like resistance, and it'll push your hand up a teeny bit. Like say if your hand is anchored right here, for the people that can see, like if you come down, then you kind of have to like work with that because your hand will come up just a little bit, as opposed to where if you just have your hand tight like this, like for arpeggios, like you can literally just, your hand just goes up and down, and you can keep this fleshy part right here, muting all of those strings as you come up and down.
Yeah, just like that.
It takes a little bit to get down, but you just gotta metronome really slow, build up the speed, and eventually it just becomes muscle memory and you don't even have to think about it. And that was another thing that I've been using these same techniques that my teacher taught me back then, like after I only been playing for like 10 months or so. So that's the technique I've been using this entire time. I've been practicing that same thing for like a decade now, that same technique. So it's just like super ingrained. And again, that was just kind of right place, right time, heard the right teacher, and just buckled down and like forced myself to learn everything that he was showing me.
So do you play any other instruments?
Yes. Guitar is what works the best for me by far, but I definitely still play piano some, and I dabble with drums. Like it helps with that, like writing songs, like having at least like a mild understanding of all these different instruments. So like on that new song, that's Tendinitis, that main riff was written from programming that I had made. Like I didn't write, honestly, pretty much all the guitar parts in that song were written after the fact.
So you write the drum parts and then hand them over to Luke.
Yes.
How does he appreciate that?
Well, he makes it work.
Yeah.
I'll say that. He makes it work and turns it to something way cooler than I could ever have thought of, that's for sure. I'll put like the skeleton and like the bass idea there, and then he just like makes it insane and actually playable. And that's something that a real drummer would actually do, for sure.
What advice would you give to, say, like a starting musician or a starting band? You know, like you've been doing it for many years.
Yeah.
You know, and you've had trial and error. Like, what would you say, like a top 2 or a top 3 things to like be aware of, or things to do if you're trying to get into the music scene, trying to start a band, or just, you know, get better?
Well, that's the hardest part, is, you know, finding a group of dudes that are all as dedicated as you. Like sometimes you have to like I literally I sent an email to All Shall Perish when I was 17, and I wasn't even expecting to get a response, because I had down-tuned or down-pitched the songs to like C sharp or G sharp or something like that, because that's what the tuning my guitar was in. I learned them in standard. They're actually in a drop tuning, so I wasn't like really expecting a response back. And then on my drive to school the next morning, I already had an email reply. So that was again, like for me, like fortunately, like another just like exact right thing at the exact right time that happened. But finding a group of dudes that all wants to do it as bad as you is the hardest part. And sometimes you have to collab with other people from other states or something like that. Like I know like some bands are literally spread out like all throughout like the world sometimes. Like I know if, like just as an example of like the Periphery dudes, that like a couple of them are in Maryland, one's in New York, one's in Texas. I think one is about to move to Vegas. Like they're still like a cohesive group and like make it work.
How many bands have you been in? All Shall Perish?
Well, technically 4, counting my local one now.
Yeah.
If you want to get that deep with it.
So it was All Shall Perish, Chelsea Grant,
and then there's Born of Osiris.
Born of Osiris.
In between there, and then now the solo stuff.
And then your solo stuff. What's your favorite?
The solo stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like way more challenging for me personally. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to take this leap to the solo stuff, is that so I could just literally write whatever without anyone saying no. Like there was a couple moments on the album, like the hoedown part and hose down, the country part, where I got to that point and I was like, I don't have to put a breakdown here. Like I can literally put whatever I want and no one is gonna say no, you can't have that there. Like that was a very like refreshing thing that I had to consciously remind myself of when I was writing the album, is that I can write what I want to, like literally all of it.
So you think that just doing it yourself has kind of expanded your creativity?
Yeah, because I can do just weird stuff that I never would have even thought of before.
Sure.
Yeah.
You said you used the Archon with an Axe-Fx Live?
Yes, correct.
Why both? Why not just one or the other?
Well, I really like having that like warmth from the tubes come from the power head or the amp head. It just adds a completely different like color and characteristic, as opposed to just the digital like left-right feed from the Axe-Fx. So what I do live is I have 3 lines going through my guitar right now. And this is just kind of like for the past couple tours, we tried some stuff out, and this is what's working the best for us right now. So left-right feed from the Axe-Fx, and then a single cab mic, a Sennheiser 906. And as soon as we introduced the cab mic, it just all of a sudden it just like got so wide and just like girthy and thick sounding, as opposed to just having like a digital signal right there. So the Axe-Fx is great, and it makes the effects like super clear and very stereo. But having that actual air movement to the mic makes a massive difference, like for sure. Like I don't ever want to tour again without some aspect of that in there, because it just makes the tone like that much bigger and crushing. For sure, yeah.
What's the best solo you think you've ever written, or your most fun solo to play?
Oh, fun.
Out of like all your bands, out of your solo stuff.
Well, if I'm
what's that? Aviator?
Well, if I'm being realistic, none of them are fun. They're all really hard and stressful.
Okay, then how about the one that you're most proud of? Is there one that sticks out, or they kind of just blend together?
Nah, I don't want to say that, because that sounds jaded and shallow. But I don't know. I never really thought about it like that. You know what I mean?
Like when you're on stage, you're live.
Well, the
song's coming up, the solo's come up. You're like, I fucking love this solo.
Yeah.
What solo would it be?
Well, honestly, the least stressful one and like most melodic one is the one from Tonga, because it's like kind of short and it's just like really like lyrical in a way. I'm gonna put my Axe-Fx on my lead patch real quick.
I was gonna say you should play it for the lovely ladies and men out there.
We have any ladies here?
Yeah, there's one right here. There's a couple back there. There's Fluff over there. Yeah, what's up?
Oh yeah, there's Fluff right there. The prettiest girl of them all.
Right, yeah.
All right, I'm trying not.
What song is this on?
Tonga.
Tonga.
Is the name of it. Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was it. Probably the least stressful one I've written, which is why I look forward to playing that one.
I like it. It's melodic. It sings very well.
Yeah, it does its purpose. It has its job.
Yeah, it's sick. Is there any? I should ask again. Is there any more questions from you guys? Yeah, what's up?
What's the favorite string?
What's
Ernie Ball.
the favorite strings?
Cobalt, in particular. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of dig the Paradigms myself. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
I like those.
I've had a couple pairs of those so far, and they don't break.
Yeah. Have you tried to break
Yeah,
really
I did the string break video and it didn't work.
Nice. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like the beefy slinkies over there because they have my name on them. Those are my favorite over there.
Isn't that a crazy feeling?
Dude, it's so surreal.
It's so weird.
I will never yeah, it's fucking crazy.
I'm holding a 1-of-1 Majesty right now. There's not another one of these.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is.
It's insane.
Well, because like me growing up, like I used to get the Ernie Ball strings, and then I would look at the back to be like, I'm checking these guys out, checking these guys out.
Oh yeah, it introduces you to like
exactly.
So
then
you could have never heard of before.
10 years later, it's just like, oh wow, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's weird.
Insane. Yeah. Any more questions from you guys out there? Yeah, what's up? What was that? Were you playing with Oceano for a hot second?
They were on like a tour that one of my old bands was on once, but that's it. No, I've never played with them.
Anyone else? Any more questions? I have a question.
What's up, Jared?
So for me, watching you play is like, it's the craziest thing to see, especially live.
Okay.
Is there something that you recognize about your own playing that you want to improve on? Like, what's your weak point?
Improv.
Improv?
Yeah, in my opinion. I can do it, but it's, you want to be confident with everything you're doing, you know what I mean? And that's still an element of my playing. Mostly because of just the old bands that I was in, like there was no room for it. There was no need for it for me to practice it other than to benefit myself as a guitar player. And it's hard to do that mentally, I found, if you don't have to. You know what I mean? That's why I'm really happy with this tour that I'm on right now. Like, we're doing a jam at the end of every night where I'm just thinking on my feet, just playing literally whatever in like the key of B. And that's something I need a lot more practice with personally, because that's definitely my weakest link, because I never really practiced improv for like 6-7 years, just because All Shall Perish, Former Science, and Chelsea Grin, everything was structured, played to a click every night. Like, that's just not something you did in like that deathcore, like, specific niche of metal.
Have you ever played live, like, without click, without backtracks?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What would you say is the best difference between doing live backtracks, like with the click, and then just doing a live band?
The consistency of the in-ears with the click. One of my favorite things is not having a hi-hat count in, and so you just have like 8 clicks in and then like a count up, and then you just both start at the exact same time, and it's like the sickest sounding thing ever, because you just go from nothing to just perfectly on time coming in. Yeah. Sure. I love that.
Oh yeah. All right, any more questions? We're probably gonna wrap it up here pretty soon. We're also doing a signing
right after this
with Chelsea Grin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, what's up?
What my favorite process for writing with bands is pretty much
probably your own stuff, sounds like.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna try and cater it to more of the band, honestly, with the Chelsea Grin stuff, I had to like fight to have like input on vocal stuff. Like, it was kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you guys know, it was like, I literally got in a yelling fit one time with one of the engineers, and I haven't talked to him since because I can't stand his guts, straight up. Because it was, like, I don't know, that just really rubbed me the wrong way personally, not being like almost allowed to have input in like a very crucial part of the writing process. That just really, really frustrated me. But eventually we got over that, and we did try some stuff out later down the road. But probably one of the most cohesive, like, whole, like, writing is always the hardest question to answer. It really is. Every time anyone asks me it, I get stumped every single time. I don't know. What about you? Writing is so hard.
Writing either flows or it doesn't. For me,
you cannot force it.
You cannot. Like, it comes so randomly. It's just like
like 5 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, oh, I feel like writing something, and then in 2 hours you write like one of your best songs.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you could sit there for 2 weeks and force it and be like,
this sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's really hard to force.
Yeah, I always, whenever I recognize that point is happening, I'm like, I'm not feeling this at all. Like, I literally don't like what I'm working. I'll just stop and go do something else, because you can't force creativity, you know what I mean? It'll sound forced if you do that. It's got to be, my rule for myself is when I'm writing, if it doesn't give me chills, it's not good enough.
If you don't like it, then
I literally need to be like screaming, like, by myself, jumping up and down in my chair because I'm so stoked. And that new song, Tendinitis, that we just wrote, like, I had that moment like quite a few times when I was working on that song, where I was getting like the hairs on my arm raised, and I would be like, like, I just made that. That's so sick. Like, it's just weird, because I know if it's doing that for me, like, if I'm this amped on something that I'm making, like, it should hopefully do it for someone else too.
You guys ever felt that? Music, like goosebumps and chills from music? There's an actual term for that. I don't remember what it's called. It's like musical frisson or something like that. Yeah, it's like the coolest feeling ever. For real. And if you're not feeling it, it's just like, whatever. Yeah. All right, one more question. Anyone out there have any more questions for us? Yeah, what's up? Can he play the arpeggio from
Titan?
Me
try and do that right now?
Hey, you wrote it, bro. You wrote it.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to do the slow thing and then the fast thing, if that works. So I'm going to play it slow first and then attempt to play it full speed.
All right,
I think it's like sextuplets at 210 or 205 or something. There's something wrong like that.
You're a sadist.
I think that was full speed. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, we're doing a signing. What's up? Oh, he
How much?
wants the guitar pick. Yeah. $5.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, you can have it. I only got one. He lucked out.
Where are we doing the signing at? It's right over
Right
here?
over there.
Oh, yeah.
That corner.
We're going to be back there with Chelsea Grant doing a signing for a little bit. So if you want to come pick our brains, we'll be back there for a minute.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for
Thank you,
listening
guys.
to us talk. Oh, yeah.